truck toppled directly onto a car at a stoplight in the Bronx. This was caught on camera. A 22-year-old woman was inside this vehicle. Watch that. Whoa. When it fell onto her, she escaped with just minor injuries, just a busted lip, because if she'd been just a few inches forward, she would be dead. Right now, the woman is planning to sue the construction company that owned that truck. On Tuesday, inspectors found 3 violations on the construction site. We have a News Nation investigation. This is a warning about some Lyft drivers running scams on unsuspecting riders, charging them fees for damage they did not cause. Our Brooke Schaefer is live with ways to avoid becoming the next victim. Brooke, good morning.
Hey, Adrian. So here's how it works. You call a Lyft, you take the ride to wherever you need to go. Once you get there, everything seems normal, right? But then eventually you get a notification on your phone that you damaged the Lyft car that you were in. You're being charged for it, and guess what? There's even pictures of the damage you apparently did. The only problem, you don't know anything about it. It happened to one woman we talked to, and a consumer advocate said it could happen to you.
Everything was normal on the ride. I just put my bags in the back. I sat in the back seat and just pretty much was on my phone for the 10-minute ride.
I got a notification saying that I was charged for damages.
No, I'll never take Lyft again.
A viral scam sweeping the nation on the rideshare app Lyft. On a recent trip to Miami, Emily Eliseo did what she's done countless times before. She ordered a Lyft. The ride was short and unmemorable until she got home.
The driver had sent in photos that I had damaged the car, and it's Lyft's policy to charge a fee depending on the damage. So they charged $150 for the alleged damage that the driver said I did.
Her driver said she damaged the car and even sent Lyft pictures of what Emily said looked like vomit. She tried to get a hold of Lyft without any luck, so she turned to social media.
That's the only way to get these companies' attention.
On Twitter, she realized she wasn't alone.
It's pretty much the same thing.
In April, this once frequent Lyft rider said he was charged $80 for reportedly spilling a drink in his Lyft.
I wrote to them and I said, what was this for? And they said, it's for having an open container of beer in the car and spilling it.
It is the perfect scam because it's very difficult to disprove that you've smoked in a car or you've spilled a drink.
Chris Elliott runs the consumer advocacy blog Elliott Advocacy. He says he's seen a recent uptick in these Lyft damage scams.
They all are very similar. They involve someone taking a ride, usually just a short ride. They get out and then there's a charge on their card. They send you the photos and they charge you, and there's really nothing you can do about it.
He says some drivers see the scam as easy money. To avoid being the victim, he says,
first of all, when you get in the car, take a picture. And when you get out of the car, take a picture. Also, engage in some conversation with the driver. Establish some rapport. I would say it's far less likely that your driver is going to report you for a false damage claim if you have a rapport with the driver.
And if you do find yourself facing a damage claim, ask for photos and to see the report. If all else fails, reach out to your bank and file a fraud claim.
Fortunately, my bank did refund me, and then after disputing the charge and saying it was like a scam and fraudulent, they refunded it back. But again, it's like it really isn't the bank's responsibility to do that, it's Lyft's.
So one of the best pieces of advice there, take your own pictures. We tried reaching out to Lyft multiple times and never heard back. Adrian?
All right, Brooke, seriously, something that you need to look be aware of. I had no idea that was happening. Let's bring in our Marty Hughes right now. We have News Nation Live every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 Eastern Time, and we're so excited. This is essentially like the premiere week, so we're excited to celebrate it.
Right, and we're excited. There's a lot of news to talk about as well. So in the next couple of hours, Adrian, we'll be following breaking news out of New York. Of course, the president is expected to address the United Nations General Assembly. He'll obviously be discussing the war in Ukraine. On the news today that Vladimir Putin is mobilizing about 300,000 of his reserve troops as the war continues in Ukraine. Climate will also be something that the president is discussing, and also U.S. relations with China, specifically as it concerns Taiwan. The other major story that we're following this morning, Adrian, is Letitia James, the AG in New York, is expected to release a major announcement in the next couple of hours. She has been investigating Trump's business dealings over the last couple of years. years. So new details expected in that investigation over alleged tax fraud. Will she file a civil suit is a major question tonight. Of course, the former president has denied any wrongdoing. So two major announcements that we'll be following over the next couple of hours on News Nation Live.
I think the last time we heard about Attorney General James was when former President Trump was in her office or in her court and actually pled the fifth so many times. It was like historic how many times he pled the fifth.
Yes.
Marty, we look forward to all of that reporting. Thank you. Good to see you as always. Right now, you know you got to watch News Nation Live. Put it on your new television schedule. The show, again, launched this week. We're so happy about it, 10 a.m. through noon Eastern time right here on News Nation every weekday. Well, still ahead, age is just a number, right? 90 apparently becoming the new 40. How does that work? Learn about the app, hoping to get you to turn back the clock. The creator of that app joining us live with his projection for the average lifespan in the next decade. Details to come.
There's no aspect of this job that I haven't done. There is a huge advantage in that. This time I'm going to be on the insurgent side, to change the game, to be different. New perspective, new purpose, new network. That's News Nation.
Mucinex All-in-One, you've got unbeatable relief from your worst cold and flu symptoms. So when you need to show your cold who's boss, grab Mucinex All-in-One and get back to your rhythm. Feel the power. Beat the symptoms fast. Why hide your skin? If Dupixent has your moderate to severe eczema or atopic dermatitis under control.
Hide my skin? Not me.
By hitting eczema where it counts, Dupixent helps heal your skin from within, keeping you one step ahead of eczema.
Hide my skin? Not me.
And that means long-lasting, clearer skin and fast itch relief for adults. With Dupixent, you can show more skin with less eczema.
Hide my skin? Not me.
Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. When you help heal your skin from within, you can change how your skin looks and feels. And that's the kind of change you notice. Talk to your eczema specialist about Dupixent, a breakthrough eczema treatment.
This old toilet won't quit. It's fine, though. I'm a member of American Home Shield. They cover items no matter their age. Oh, shelves clean.
Businesses nationwide are switching to Verizon Business Internet.
It's a perfect fit for my small business.
Verizon has business-grade internet solutions nationwide.
For our not-so-small business, too.
Get internet that keeps your business ready for anything from the network America relies on.
When you really need TV, count on Dish's 99% signal reliability. Any time of year.
Should we do the cake?
Is it sugar-free?
Dish, tuned into you.
Sir and Zach works hard in hour one and twice as hard when you take it again the next day, so Betty can be the
Barcode beat conductor.
Go, Betty! Must be more than our allergies. Seize the day.
Chris Cuomo joins America's fastest-growing cable news network, News Nation. Weeknights start on balance with Leland Vittert, then Cuomo, Dan Abrams Live, and Ben Field. Your new primetime lineup premieres October 3rd on News Nation.
Attention Marines and family members who spent time at Camp Lejeune.
If you spent time on base at Camp Lejeune prior to 1988 and developed any of these cancers or suffered any of these injuries, you may be eligible for significant financial compensation. Call Camp Lejeune victims to discuss your case now.
Leaking underground tanks contaminated the drinking water with benzene and other highly carcinogenic chemicals, up to 280 times acceptable levels in some instances.
There have been numerous reported cases of exposed personnel developing cancer and other serious health conditions. It is critical to take action and call Camp Lejeune victims now.
If you or someone you know spent time at Camp Lejeune before 1988 and you developed any of these cancers or injuries, call to determine your eligibility for financial compensation now. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
Call 800-806-6327. That's 800-806-6327.
Researchers at the Cleveland Clinic are doubling down on the old adage that age is nothing but a number. But the creators of a new app and accompanying book are informing and inspiring users to build healthy habits, making their physiological age younger than the actual number. Dr. Michael Roizen, the Emeritus Chief Wellness Officer at the Cleveland Clinic, says using the Reboot Your Age app and his new book, The Great Age Reboot, will help you crack the longevity code. There's a lot of words in there that I had to get out right. All right. Dr. Roizen is joining us live from Cleveland this morning. Clearly, a lot of people want to live long and strong. Your new book, The Great Age Reboot, talks about 90 years old becoming the new 40. How in the world?
Right. Well, there are 14 areas of research in aging mechanisms. We've done research, that is medical science, has done research into specific diseases like atherosclerosis and how to change that, and diabetes, type 2 diabetes. But this is research into the basic mechanisms of aging. There are 14 things, 14 areas in animals that have all shown you can reboot from the equivalent of human 90 to human 40. So some of those are already into human trials. For example, plasma exchange, very inexpensive. We pay graduate students for it. In animals, it reboots skin, muscle, pancreas, liver, even heart, cardiovascular, and now in human trials called the AMBAR trials, randomized controlled trials, it takes people with early Alzheimer's, and over 15 months, just 9 donations, 9 plasma donations. You donate your plasma, you get your red cells back. You donate your plasma 5 times, once a week for 5 weeks, then once a month for 4 months after. So in 5 months of donation, 9 donations. 15 months later, the people were reversed. All of the cognitive domains that were studied reversed the aging of those or reversed dysfunction in them. So we're now beginning to see these trials move into humans.
It's amazing to think about people who are 90 years old living the quality of life of a 40-year-old, because so many people actually end up spending the majority of their money at the end of their life versus investing in their health over the course of their life. But in terms of the Reboot Your Age app, what is the goal here, and what would people be doing using that app?
Well, the app is, Reboot Your Age app is solely to help people guide day by day. It's 3 to 10 minutes a day. It's essentially to get me in your pocket, if you will, to help guide you and coach you so that you can get as young as possible and keep each organ as young as possible. Someday in maybe 2050, you'll go in the car wash at 90 and come out the car wash at 40. But right now, it's probably going to be organ by organ. And so it's to help you keep each of your organs as young as possible. And there are over 180 choices. It's personalized to you, works through your practitioner.
And what's the longevity? What do you think the average lifespan will be in the next decade?
Well, we're going to, it's been expanded by 2.5 years every 10 years since about 1890, from about 42 to 78 now. We expect it to go up by 30 years in the next 10 years. That's an exponential change because of this research into the basic mechanism of aging. That's with about an 80% probability. You know, in 1998, when we started Launch Real Age, we said 60 would be the new 40. That's come to pass. We now think 90 will be the new 40. And there's a lot of science behind that.
Dr. Roizen, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Adrian.
And your work, again, very, very much needed in this world today. Still ahead, today's American hero is on a mission to help communities see the inspiration behind offering free vision exams to those who need it most.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission products. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we do better when our clients do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Becoming a morning person starts the night before with new Nariva Relax and Sleep. It has L-theanine to help me relax from daily stress.
Plus, Shobu ashwagandha for quality sleep.
So I can wake up refreshed. Nariva, think bigger.
I just switched to Verizon Business Unlimited. It is just right for my little business.
We switched too.
Unlimited premium data, unlimited hotspot data.
My point of sale is on point.
Switch to Verizon Business Unlimited today from the network America relies on.
We're excited to do business with you, but before we sign, I gotta ask.
Sure, anything.
We searched you online, and maybe you can explain this?
Can't believe that garbage is still coming in. That is so false.
Frustrated with your online search results? Call Reputation Defender today to join tens of thousands who've improved their online reputation. Get your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 1-877-866-8555.
Been getting a lot of calls like this lately. The Zebra compares the top insurance companies, so you can save over $900 on car and home insurance. That's a lot of cash. Compare and save today at thezebra.com.
If we weren't proud of the craftsmanship and level of detail that go into every pair of Warby Parker glasses, well, we probably wouldn't show you how they're made, including this part, which is our favorite. Wow. And this is also great. When you order a new frame, we custom cut and polish a pair of lenses just for you. Try 5 pairs for free at warbyparker.com.
Dish makes TV easy. Now with all of your favorite live TV and streaming apps, all in one place.
All right, here we go. Discovery Plus.
Dish, streaming and live TV all in one place.
So Frank, you're the big hurt. Why do you need new Jennings?
After 40, a guy loses free testosterone. Even me. I couldn't stay in shape like I used to.
Frank, so does Nugenix really work?
Oh yeah, my workouts are incredible now. I'm feeling stronger, more energetic, with a lot more drive.
So, say I knew someone who should try Nugenix. How does he do that?
It's easy. Just send a text to get a complimentary bottle.
Frank's right. Now you can claim a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenix by texting ARRAY to 369-369. Its unique formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate. Text ARRAY to 369-369 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of new Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. That's ARRAY to 369-369.
Well, millions of students all around the country, they're back in class, but for some, being able to read that whiteboard, it can be a challenge without proper vision care. One Chicago-based group is inspiring kids to pursue their dreams and help them see. The 2020 Perfect Vision campaign is a pop-up experience taking eye exams and vision screenings directly to underserved communities. We're joined right now by founder and president, Denai Yelverton. Thank you so much. Is it Denai or Denai?
Denai, you said it right.
Okay, good. It's so funny that I'm like sitting there, I'm thinking I'm confidently saying your name, but let me just say, when you get to this experience with your mobile tour that pulls up to a neighborhood, what do kids get to go through?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year will be getting vision screenings and eye exams, which is amazing because that will be able to tell if that student will need prescription lenses and if so, what their prescription is. And with us partnering with BSP this year, we will be able to produce the glasses on the mobile clinic. And so kids will walk away with their glasses in hand that day.
And that is something, I mean, I've been wearing glasses since I was in 2nd grade. I know that Nick Smith is sitting here right next to me. He wears glasses, I'm sure, for quite some time. You say this isn't just about vision, like natural vision, but it's also about unlocking a child's dreams. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we say we are bringing vision figuratively and literally to communities of color. When I decided to do this project, it was a dream. It seemed much bigger than me, and so I try to use my story to encourage the kids that we're servicing to just go after their dreams, to dream big, to figure out what their vision in life is. And so, yeah, we want to instill that big dream to them. If you look at the vehicle, that artwork was made by local Chicago youth. All we did was say, create an artwork that means dreaming big to you. And we put it on the vehicle, just another way to show that
you can go after your dreams no matter how big or crazy they may seem. Just go for it.
And you have a personal connection. Why did you start this?
Yeah, so I actually have been wearing glasses since I was in second grade as well. I used to lose them all the time. And as an entrepreneur, as a mom of two, it's really important for me to go after the things that I set for my life to be an example to my kids. I am their first example. And so not only am I trying to instill that into my children, I want all the other kids in Chicago to see me, someone who's from the south side of Chicago, dreaming big and giving back to our communities in a most positive way.
I love this, and I'm so grateful for people like you who not only see that they have something to invest in their own children, but into the entire community. Again, I want to find out a little bit more, so, and I'm sure people at home do as well. There are donors and scholarships, so what's the website or what's the way that we can find out how we can help?
Yes, you can go to perfectvisioncampaign.com. There's all the information on there. You can actually donate through that website as well. You can follow our foundation page, which is ETM Foundation. That's on all of our social media channels. We currently have a fundraiser right now. We're trying to get our own mobile clinic. And so you can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and our website.
I love it. Denai, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. Great work.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Marty Hughes, you got to follow a tough act right now. I got the guys here, but obviously a lot of inspiration, right?
Yeah, I'm still smiling because I got a chance to see Denai.
Yes.
And Major League pitcher Ricky Vaughn. Have you seen that movie? I'm sure you have.
Marty?
Hey there. Does Nick have a crush on Denai? I think I do. What a beautiful message and beautiful woman this morning. Adrian, thank you. All right, today is Wednesday, September 21st. I'm Marty Hughes, and News Nation Live starts right now. New this morning, Russian President Vladimir Putin mobilizes his military, calling out more than 300,000 reservists. This as President Biden speaks to leaders at the United Nations General Assembly. Plus, pricier payments. Swiping a credit card, getting a car loan, or buying a home could soon get more expensive.
Buy what I need, not what I want.
The announcement expected today from the Fed to fight inflation. And a Latino voter shift.
I looked at my mom and I told her, we're in the wrong party. We're Republican.
With less than 50 days until the midterms, News Nation hears from a crucial group of voters whose voice could swing Nevada's elections. To you. A lot to get to on this Wednesday. We are about 30 minutes away from the president's address to the United Nations General Assembly. White House leaders saying the president will focus a great deal this morning on the war in Ukraine. He's also expected to announce $2.9 million in funding to help global food security. Dre Clark is in New York for us this morning with more on what is on deck for the 10:35 Eastern address. Good morning, Dre. And news of Russian President Vladimir Putin mobilizing that reserve military force this morning, top of mind at this hour.
Absolutely, and certainly the timing of that announcement coming from Vladimir Putin is not coincidental. He knows that the president will take direct aim at him when the president does deliver his speech here in the United Nations less than 30 minutes from now. Now, the president was scheduled to speak yesterday, but that had to be pushed back a day because he had to travel back to the U.S. from London, where he had attended the funeral for Queen Elizabeth, along with many other world leaders who are now here in New York City for the UN General Assembly meeting. Let's talk more about what the president will say today. We know that the president, much of his remarks will involve the invasion in Ukraine and the war with Russia here. The president's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, telling us that the president will rebuke Russia's invasion of Ukraine and call on the world to continue standing together against Vladimir Putin's aggression. Now, the president believes that Putin's continued assault on Ukraine shows he's not interested in diplomacy, but rather an autocracy where he and he alone rules everything and everyone. The U.S. so far has provided Ukraine with $15 billion in aid, and the president will urge member nations at the UN to help arm Ukraine in its ongoing war with Russia. Now, meanwhile, we know that Ukraine's president, Vladimir Zelensky, will also be speaking at the UN today. He is the only world leader that will be allowed to speak by video because his country is currently at war, preventing him from speaking in person today. Meanwhile, China is another area of concern for the president. Alleged human rights abuses in China, tension with Taiwan, and global economic impacts could all be talking points when the president does take the stage today. The communication between the U.S. and China has been frail at best, and certainly it did not help when President Biden said in a recent interview that U.S. troops would defend Taiwan against Beijing if there is a military conflict. Now, the president will also address global insecurity. Marnie, you mentioned that at the top, mentioning that the president has pledged $2.9 billion to address that issue. He will also provide a vision on his overall thinking on foreign policy here. Climate control is one other issue that will be talked about, and the president is getting some criticism today because he will not be attending a roundtable discussion on that issue. Instead, he will send John Kerry, who is his special envoy on climate control. Some are saying that the president's absence suggests that he's not interested in the issue of climate control, but the White House is very quick to push back, saying that the president's record is very clear, that climate control is something that he cares deeply about, but he has other meetings today preventing him from attending that roundtable discussion. Marnie?
A lot on the docket, and again, we're expected to hear from the president in the next half hour or so as he addresses the UN in New York. Dre, thank you. We'll be talking to you again soon. All eyes also on the Federal Reserve this morning. Later today, they are expected to raise interest rates again to try to cool down the economy. Experts predict the U.S. Central Bank will raise rates 0.75 of a point. That would be the highest level it has been in 14 years, and the fifth time the Federal Reserve has increased rates this year to try to taper off high costs that we continue to see. Joe Khalil in Washington this morning with what all of this means. Good morning to you, Joe.
Hey, good morning, Marnie. So yeah, you're right. That's what we expect, is that the Federal Reserve is going to increase interest rates later on this afternoon from 2.5% where it sits now to roughly 3.25%, maybe even a little bit higher than that. So in the short term, that's going to mean that it's costing more to take out a home loan. It's going to cost more to pay down a car loan, or if you even take out a new credit card. But the idea is to slow down inflation. You know, if you can bring demand down because things cost more, it's supposed to bring down prices as well. There is always a risk, though, into doing that by increasing the interest rates, and that is that you slow down the economy potentially too much, and then we fall into a recession, and then you have really bad scenarios where unemployment potentially goes up, people may be losing their jobs. So there's always a balance and a concern when something like this is going to be announced. But just a little while ago in the hallway here at the Capitol, we caught up with Congressman Jake Auchincloss. He's the vice chairman of the Financial Services Committee, so speaks with a little bit of authority, Marnie, on this situation. We asked him about that concern, about maybe overreaching from the Fed. And he said that the Fed has a tough job to do, but Congress also, he says, has a job to do when it comes to tackling inflation, that it can't just be on the Fed. He says there needs to be policy moving forward from lawmakers where you don't just make it harder or more expensive to get a home loan, you have to create more homes. For example, housing being one issue. Here's a little bit of his elaboration on that.
Here is a perfect example of where if you're just addressing the demand side but not the supply side, you're not actually improving the long-term economic outlook. Cooling off housing markets is one element, but then you've got to build more housing on the other side. The long-term way to reduce housing prices is to build more housing. And as a country, we have not done a good enough job of that.
So that's just one aspect, Marty. He also talked about tariffs potentially. So Congress, he says, has a role to play. Now, back to the Fed. At 2 o'clock today, the chairman, Jerome Powell, is going to be speaking. A lot of investors are going to be listening to every word he says, because even an indication from him that we could see more rate hikes in the near future, that could really impact the market. So you're going to see a lot of people really watching very closely every comment that he makes later on today around 2 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, an important announcement and a domino effect at a critical time. All right, Joe, thank you. It is the biggest case of pandemic fraud yet in the U.S. In Minnesota, the Department of Justice has charged 47 people with stealing $250 million from a program that was supposed to help feed children in need. Rich McHugh is joining us this morning with some details. So, Rich, what can you tell us about this case? A lot of money hitting people at their greatest time of need.
Good morning. That's right, Marty. Prosecutors laid out the charges yesterday, calling this a brazen scheme of staggering proportions, and called this the largest pandemic fraud in the United States.
Early in the pandemic, a small group of people in Minnesota had an idea and saw an opportunity. These individuals believed that they could steal tens of millions of dollars from a federal child nutrition program by claiming to serve food to needy children when they were not.
U.S. Attorney Andrew Luger announced charges against 47 people Tuesday for defrauding a federal child nutrition program, alleging they profited off a scheme to make money by falsely claiming to feed needy children.
Before long, the scheme that began with a simple idea in March of 2020 grew to become the largest pandemic fraud in the United States.
The indictments are against 6 groups, all connected to one main group, Feeding Our Future. They took millions of dollars in federal money during the pandemic, $250 million, that was supposed to feed needy kids in Minnesota. Instead, prosecutors allege they fed their own pockets.
They used this money that was supposed to be used for feeding children to buy houses in Minnesota, resort property and real estate in Kenya and Turkey, luxury cars, commercial property, jewelry, and much more.
The defendants are charged with conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, and paying and receiving illegal kickbacks. According to the indictment, the elaborate scheme worked like this. Amy Bach and Feeding Our Future recruited individuals to open more than 200 federal child nutrition program sites throughout Minnesota. Those sites fraudulently claimed to be serving meals to thousands of children a day. They created fake attendance rosters, fake invoices for those meals, and the federal government in turn reimbursed them. Amy Bach was the founder and executive director of Feeding Our Future, which closed this year.
Kenneth, Ms. Bach, Nancy, do you have any comments about why you're here today?
The Sahan Journal in Minnesota caught a moment with Amy Bach and her attorney as they entered the courthouse.
It's an unfortunate situation. My client meant well, she still means well, and we hope that the jury will see that all she did was from our folks.
Now, prosecutors allege that these groups were reimbursed for 125 million meals that they never even served. We reached out to the ringleader, the alleged ringleader, Ms. Amy Bach. Through her attorney, they did not comment back to us, Marnie.
Rich, it's troubling if true. I mean, the lowest of the low, some of these allegations. If convicted, what type of penalty would these groups or these individuals face?
That's a good question. I truly don't know, but I know that they're trying to throw the book at these people because from what we've learned in reporting on previous stories, this is not the first, and this won't be the last that they're going to be going after.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's allegations of taking food right out of kids' mouths. All right, Rich, we know you're on it. Thank you. After a lot of speculation and preparation, a plane of migrants believed to be traveling to President Biden's home in Delaware did not show up after all. It is the latest in the political drama between President Biden and several Republican governors, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis among them. Robert Sherman has been following the very latest for us. He joins us from the border this morning. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Marty. Quite the saga, isn't it? It seems like every day there's a twist and turn in this whole immigration crisis, and reporters and officials alike waited at that airport in Delaware expecting the potential arrival of migrants. None ultimately showed up. This all began as word started to spread early Tuesday morning that some of the plane tracking websites that you see online showed that the exact same plane with the exact same tag number that dropped those migrants off at Martha's Vineyard last week was scheduled to make a flight from Texas to Florida up to this airport in Delaware, which is less than an hour away from President Biden's home in Rehoboth Beach. And again, no migrants ended up showing up. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis at a press conference stated that he did not comment at all on this potential incident yesterday, but he has insisted this week he's going to continue to keep this issue in the national spotlight. Take a listen.
We're continuing to do is use every tool at our disposal to insulate the state of Florida from the negative ramifications of his reckless border policies.
And in that White House briefing yesterday, we saw the White House at the press secretary hammering the Florida governor, saying that all that the governor wants to do is create chaos at the border. But meanwhile, we have seen some of the migrants who were dropped off in Martha's Vineyard filing suit against Florida governor. They say, quote, that the defendants manipulated them, stripped them of their dignity, deprived them of their liberty, bodily autonomy, due process, and equal protection under law, and impermissibly interfered with the federal government's exclusive control over immigration. That's what they allege. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis firing back. His office saying in a statement, quote, the transportation of the immigrants in Martha's Vineyard was done on a voluntary basis. The immigrants were homeless, hungry, and abandoned, and these activists didn't care about them. So you can see a lot of finger pointing here, a lot of name calling. We're sure that that's going to continue going forward. Marnie?
A saga indeed. Human lives on the line. All right, Robert, thank you. Donald Trump's legal team is facing some challenges with the special master. On Tuesday, the DOJ and Trump's lawyers met with Judge Raymond Dearie for the first time. The judge pressed Trump's attorneys to back up the former president's claim that he had declassified documents seized from his Florida home. Trump's team argued that they should not be forced to reveal details since the issue may be part of his defense if he is in fact indicted. Dearie countered that, saying without evidence from the former president, the only basis that he had to judge was the classification markers on those materials. Judge Dearie added, quote, as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of it. The special master now has until November 30th to inspect 11,000 documents. Judge Cannon told him to prioritize 100 or so of those documents that have the classified markings. Walmart and CVS agreed to pay more than $147 million in West Virginia's opioid crisis. The state claimed those pharmacies did not maintain an effective control as a distributor of the drugs and therefore contributed to an oversupply across the state. CVS says it wants to put all of this and the claims behind it, adding opioid prescriptions are written by doctors, not pharmacies. Walmart has not released a statement yet. This settlement is part of a larger trial involving some other pharmacies as well, including Walgreens and Kroger. Those companies have yet to reach a settlement. Just a month ago, a federal judge ordered CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart to pay $650 million for the way they distributed opioids in 2 Ohio counties. House Democrats could vote as soon as this week on a policing and community safety bill package. Majority Leader Steny Hoyer says negotiations right now are ongoing, but they are close to a deal. 4 bills could end up in a bundle. The first would give federal grants to smaller law enforcement agencies, which have fewer than 200 officers. The second would provide grants to try and rein in community violence. Another uses mental health workers instead of law enforcement to respond to people with special needs. And the last gives money for technology to help investigators crack unsolved cases. Moments from now, President Biden will be giving a speech to the United Nations General Assembly. We're going to bring that to you live when it happens. Plus, both co-founders of Peloton are leaving the company. The reason and the new exercise option that the company is now offering up. And next, we are 6 weeks until the midterms. Brian Enton will join us live from the great state of Nevada. The News Nation Live continues.
My name is Austin James. As a musician living with diabetes, finger sticks can be a real challenge. That's why I use the Freestyle Libre 2 system. With a painless 1-second scan, I know my glucose numbers without finger sticks. Now I'm managing my diabetes better, and I've lowered my A1C from 8.2 to 6.7.
Take the mystery out of managing your diabetes and lower your A1C. Now you know. Try it for free at freestylelibre.us.
Pain hits fast, so get relief fast. Only Tylenol Rapid Release Gels have laser-drilled holes. They release medicine fast for fast pain relief. And now, get relief without a pill with Tylenol Dissolve Packs. Relief without the water.
Have you or anyone you know ever been stationed at Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune? Camp Lejeune's water was contaminated by fuel leaks. If you had any water contact while at Camp Lejeune and been diagnosed with cancer or Parkinson's disease, you may be entitled to compensation. As a Marine who was stationed at Camp Lejeune myself for 4 years, this cause hits close to home. So if you've been stationed or visited Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune and have cancer or Parkinson's, visit CampLejeuneInjury.com. Morgan & Morgan, for the veterans.
New projects means new project managers. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/hire and get started today.
If you have COPD, asthma, chronic bronchitis, or emphysema, we can help you breathe a little easier. Med4Home may be the solution to your breathing problems with our portable nebulizer and medications. Independent studies have shown a nebulizer can be easier to use and more effective than an inhaler. And with Medicare, your nebulizer and medications may be covered by your Part B benefits. We're a specialty pharmacy that has been helping people since 1998. Call Med4Home today, and we'll do whatever we can to make things easier. We deal directly with your doctor, handle all the paperwork, deliver to your door with no additional cost for shipping, and our pharmacists and respiratory therapists are there for you 24/7. So call Med4Home now to see how our portable nebulizer and medications can help you breathe easier.
For more information, call 1-800-201-0812. That's 1-800-201-0812.
My bias is your interests. I report to you and for you. News Nation is a way of looking at America. Go back to the places where things matter. Show why they matter. It is about common cause and concern. That is a nation. It's you, it's me, it's we. That's News Nation.
Election coverage and stories from all across the country. And today we wanted to spend a little bit of time in the state of Nevada, taking a closer look at the issues important to our nation's Hispanic voters. In a new poll from the New York Times and Siena College, it is clear that the economy is the #1 issue for Latino and Latina voters, but they're also basically split on which party they think can fix that issue. News Nation's senior national correspondent, Brian Enton, joining us live from Vegas this morning. Hello to you, Brian. So that poll also shows the Democrats still carry most of the Hispanic vote. More and more are leaning Republican, though. So you talked to some people about why they switched. I'm curious as to what they said.
Yeah, it was really fascinating, Marty. You know, there is a massive Latino population here in Nevada. 1 in 5 voters in Nevada is Latino, and the races are close. They're close all over the country, but they're especially close here, especially the Senate race. It is within the margin of error, and this trend of Latino voters switching from Democrat to Republican, it could really have an impact. Nia Dominguez is proud of her Latino roots. She was born in Mexico, moved to El Paso, joined the Air Force, and now lives in Las Vegas with her 2 sons.
It seems like there's this assumption with a lot of people that most Latinos are Democrat, but that's not always the case.
I remember when I was a little kid and I asked my mom, what is a Democrat and what is a Republican in the back of a car. I was a little kid, and my mom turned around and looked at me and she was like, Mija, the Democrats are for poor people and the Republicans are for rich people, and we're poor, so we're Democrats.
For most of her life, Lydia says she identified as a Democrat. She voted for Obama twice, but says she slowly started shifting.
It wasn't just overnight, but I didn't know I was conservative until I really looked at myself and looked at my values and said, I don't believe in this. I don't believe in abortion. I don't believe in having, to medicate your children to change genders. I don't believe in this movement anymore.
She says she's concerned about the economy, high taxes, and what she calls socialist policies also causing her to shift right. Lorena Cardenas also plans to vote for all Republicans in the midterms.
I realized growing up and, with in the minority group with Hispanics, I did see a lot of poverty. A lot of people were on welfare. And I noticed that was a huge incentive to keep voting Democrat. Yet it was all the Democrat policies that were very, very much contradicting the way our values were aligned. We weren't aligning with Democrat values, yet we kept voting for Democrats because we wanted that incentive, the handout.
A New York Times poll out last week shows that most Latinos will still vote for Democrats, but the margins are shrinking, and we're on our way to the Nevada Democratic Party office to ask them what they make of all of this.
Hi, how are you? I'm Brian Ensign.
Judith.
Nice to meet you.
Judith Whitmer is the chair of the Nevada Democratic Party.
Some of the Latinos we've spoken to, though, said they almost felt like they were taken for granted by the Democratic Party because everyone just assumes that they're going to be Democrats.
I think that's a common mistake that probably both political parties have made in the past, is that you assume that certain demographics are loyal to your party based on this or based on that.
Whitmer says Democrats in Nevada have a Latino outreach group trying to keep Hispanics dedicated to the party. She believes inflation is causing some to shift.
I think anytime that happens, the current administration takes the major blame for that, when in reality, there's a whole series of things that cause inflation.
But Lydia says, while yes, the economy was part of her decision to become a Republican, it's more about social issues. She says she has felt disrespected by the Democrats.
Do you think sometimes Democrats almost talk down to Latinos?
Yeah, I think the Latinx thing was really weird and not appropriate. I think sometimes they don't think that we're smarter than what we are, that we're ignorant. I think that they treat us as children at times with little kitten gloves, and they don't treat us with the respect that we deserve.
So the Democrats are trying to fight back against all of this, Marnie. They're out on the streets. They're trying to make the push that they are for the working Latinos, that they're for the unions that represent so many of the Latinos that work here on the Strip in the hotels and the casinos and the businesses. It's been very interesting, though, Marnie. Our next stop is Pennsylvania. We're going to be there for you on Friday. And what's interesting about Pennsylvania is the opposite is happening there. Here, we're seeing the Republicans turn the Democrats turn to Republicans. In Pennsylvania, the opposite is happening. You've got Republicans who are shifting and becoming Democrats. So we'll have that for you on Friday, Marnie.
And every state equally important. 6 weeks from now, the question will be what drives people to the polls. All right, Brian, we'll see you in Pennsylvania. Thank you. News Nation's Road to Decision Desk 2022 picks up again on Friday. Brian, as he said, he's going to be in Pennsylvania, focusing on suburban women specifically and the important abortion issue. You're going to hear from voters who say they may choose a candidate from the opposite party based on that issue alone, so make sure to tune in for that. I want to bring in now a former campaign spokesperson for Mitt Romney's presidential runs, also for George Bush in 2004. Joining me now is Kevin Madden. Mr. Madden, thank you for being with us this morning. Brian hit on
Marty. Great to be with you.
Thank you. Brian hit on a lot of really important issues facing Latino voters, the economy being one of them. But what are some of the other big social issues that you think are important to Latino voters that Democrats and Republicans need to be paying close attention to right now?
Well, look, I think one of the things that there's an old way of looking at how you motivate Hispanic voters, and there's a new way. I think the old way was that, as the Democratic chair in Nevada mentioned, that demographics was destiny. As more Democrats actually, or as more Hispanics came into the country and they were a larger share of the vote, that was good for Democrats. And then the other idea is that they're just motivated by immigration. And I think, as Brian's package pointed out, they are motivated by a much broader range of issues. And when it comes to social issues, Democrats are Hispanic voters are not immune from conversations about defunding the police. They're not immune from conversations about woke progressive policies that are all about gender identification or all about other areas of identification. So when those conversations start to come to the forefront of the political dialogue, there are many Hispanic voters that tend to shy away from the left and tend to be more motivated to listen to Republicans or conservatives.
You bring up the immigration issue, which is at the forefront right now as we watch these planes head from border states to places like Martha's Vineyard to the vice president's home in Washington, D.C. Will these policies and strategies by Republicans and Democrats backfire? How do you think that Hispanic voters will perceive what is going on when they head to the polls in November?
Well, a lot of it depends on where some of those voters are. I mean, take, for example, the border states, Texas, Nevada, Arizona. In many of those states, there are worries about the influx of immigration as well, because it does strain services. It does affect schools. It does affect hospitals. So the Hispanic voters there, they tend to look at some of those pressures on the border very differently than, say, where Brian's headed next, the suburbs of Philadelphia. And those are some of the areas where there are very big battleground taking place that will affect whether or not Democrats or Republicans control the House of Representatives. And in many of those suburban districts, independents and even some moderate Republicans tend to recoil at the idea of politics and posturing and stunts like what Governor DeSantis pulled by sending some of those migrants to places around the country. So it's very dependent on the makeup of the voters in a particular given state and a particular given congressional district.
Let me ask you, Kevin, who's doing a better job right now, immigration aside, because that's the issue that we're talking about every single day, Democrats or Republicans, in addressing what is important to Hispanic voters? Who is clearly in tune with what they want to hear as we head into these midterms in about 49 days?
Right now, I think if you look at the pressures on the economy, the pocketbook issues that are driving a lot of voter anxiety, a lot of tension amongst the electorate, Republicans are clearly, I think, in an advantage there.
Since our wedding was only 5 months away, I had my wedding dress and I needed to take that back. Things were coming in the mail, cards that go in the invitations. I didn't want to believe it. Your mind doesn't want to believe it. You want to believe that he's going to come home, that somebody's lying, that it's like some crazy thing. I went to sleep, if that's what you want to call it, and I went to reach over to where he lays, and it was empty. And so it was at that moment that I realized, holy crap, he is not coming home, ever.
Patty isn't the only one mourning the loss of Big John Thurberg. His co-workers gather at the restaurant to remember a man they all loved.
There was just no reason to kill John Thurberg. And I think that really resonated with people. These guys murdered him for no reason at all.
It made me feel really good that they wanted to do that for Big John, and they made signs and they talked about what he meant to them.
Mark Griffin is still recovering from his gunshot wound, but co-worker and witness Johnny Blaylock is there.
There were numerous employees that came over to Johnny Blaylock, short of showing a lot of pity for him for the mere fact that he was a victim.
But the person who everyone feels for the most is John's fiance.
As much as it was a wonderful thing to do, it was also one of the hardest things to do.
As investigators continue the citywide manhunt, they circle back to the only information they have to work with. Statements from witnesses Mark Griffin and Johnny Blaylock.
Both Blaylock and Griffin descriptions match. Big guy with the shotgun, smaller one with the pistol.
But one curious detail stands out.
They herd everybody into the men's room, except for Blaylock. Blaylock is outside the men's room.
So they got Big John and Griffin tied up in the bathroom. Why wouldn't they have Blaylock in there with them? Why are they treating him differently?
That's a good question.
And not only Chief Vance, but a couple other senior detectives had questions about his culpability.
I never ran across any criminals that were concerned about overcrowding in any building, let alone men's room.
And Johnny Blaylock is also the only witness to imply the killers got away in a car.
I'm thinking that Blaylock is probably somebody that we want to spend some time talking to.
Does Johnny Blaylock know more than he's saying? Montgomery County Chief Detective Oscar Vance wants to know.
Hate to put you out, Johnny. But this is what we do. We check and then we recheck.
This was just a routine thing of us moving from one area to another.
Take me back to the day you were already at work when they came in.
I listened to him very carefully from the standpoint of how they were tied up. He then stated how they were forced into the bathroom.
That's what I can't understand, Johnny. Why they had you outside the bathroom on the carpet and have those other guys in the bathroom on that nasty floor?
direct eye contact during the time that I was talking to him. He was sort of like all over the place as far as his body language was concerned.
Let me get this straight. They came in to rob the place, but they didn't get any money.
It didn't go right. It was chaotic. I guess they came for the money, but they couldn't get in the safe.
But you were on the floor, Johnny. How do you know that they were trying to get into the safe?
No, yeah, I was. Well, I don't know, right? I was just guessing. I don't know for sure.
If a person's telling the truth, they'll tell that same story the same way, whether it's today, tomorrow, 2 minutes later, or an hour later, or whatever. When an individual is not telling the truth, usually it'll fluctuate, and they will not tell the same story.
And just for the record, you never seen these guys, you don't know these guys, and they never worked for Ulan.
Nope. Never seen them.
You heard the expression, you know, the eyes are the windows of the soul. At that time, his soul wasn't speaking very truthfully to me.
Do me a favor, Johnny. Just sit tight, my friend, okay?
Yeah? Chief, what's up?
Something's up with this kid. Let's hook him up to the box.
You got it.
For Chief Vance, the question is no longer if Blaylock knows more. It's what the young dishwasher knows. Vance decides to put him to the test on a polygraph.
Yeah, don't let this machinery bother you. It's a standard operating procedure around here. All you gotta do is tell the truth, and we'll have you out of here in no time at all.
There's a pre-test set up before you actually run the charts. And during that period of time, he seemed a little nervous.
Just gonna ask you a few simple questions first so we don't get any surprises.
Okay. His anxiety level increased.
The kind of questions I'm gonna ask are simple yes or no. Do you know who killed John Thurman?
She was like, I'll see you in the morning. She never came home. I want my daughter home.
We're still interviewing persons of interest.
Can you help find the disappeared?
I'm going to find my son.
The hit series returns Wednesdays at 10 on ID.
All my ladies, pop your backs with it, with it, drop with it, lean with it, rock with it, snap with it. All my ladies, pop your backs with it,
If you want to lose weight, Weight Watchers is ready for you.
All my ladies, pop your backs with it.
Choosing National Debt Relief was the best decision I've made. I was in debt, didn't know where to go, struggling, and National Debt Relief kind of dug me out of that hole.
Whether it's credit card, medical, or personal loan debt, with National Debt Relief, you could be debt-free in as little as 24 to 48 months.
Working with National Debt Relief, we were able to reduce my debt by about half. The sooner you start with National Debt Relief, the sooner you'll be debt-free.
Call or visit nationaldebtrelief.com to get started.
What's for dinner? Panera. Freshly prepared with clean ingredients. It's not just a night off from cooking. It's a delicious night on for everyone at the table. Panera. $0 delivery fee for a limited time.
How do they get these things to smell so good?
Must be magic. Hefty Ultra Strong with Fabuloso Scent.
I got my degree at SNHU for my family. This degree is for me.
I did this for my partner, my siblings, my daughter,
My son.
Congratulations, Dad. All right.
No matter who you get your degree for, Southern New Hampshire University can help you get it done with low online tuition and multiple term starts per year. So the best time to get started is right now. Visit snhu.edu.
Carry
Carrie and Alex use T-Mobile for their mobile service. Steve and Anna have Spectrum Mobile. Both couples have 2 lines with unlimited data and nationwide 5G. So, what's the difference? Carrie and Alex pay a lot more with T-Mobile.
Plus taxes.
And fees. Spectrum Mobile has no added taxes or fees.
Plus really fast speeds. And reliable service. We're switching to Spectrum.
Switch and you could save up to 60% on your mobile bill. Call, click, or visit a store today.
Lowest price guaranteed. Save big. Save now at American Freight Furniture Mattress Appliance. Take it home today for $0 down and no interest for up to 12 months. Special buy. Hot Point washer and dryers for $499.99 each. Save up to 55% off appliances. Mattress sets from only $79.99 each piece. Joby Power reclining sectional with LED light bars, Bluetooth speakers, charging ports for only $733 and $33 each piece. Same day delivery in September 30th. For a location near you, visit AmericanFreight.com.
Tiki was not meant to be maneuverable, and they just have to hold on and hope that they don't get torn to shreds.
This raft goes in the water, you're dead. When you're traveling to places the Explorers Club members visit, it's bound to be one wild ride.
Did you know that you run in pursuit with John Walsh?
And we're just getting started. Let's catch these guys. In Pursuit with John Walsh, all new Wednesdays at 9 on ID. These unsuspecting home cooks are in for the shock of their lives.
This is a competition!
Who can outcook a world-class chef and become a culinary legend?
You ready to do this?
Series premiere, Outchef, Tuesday night at 10. Oh, mother!
Stop saying my mom is the problem.
She's always been the problem.
I call out the one. She could do a hell of a lot better than him.
Smothered, all new, Monday at 9 on TLC.
Just outside Philadelphia, police working the John Thurberg homicide case have his employee Johnny Blaylock in the hot seat.
The polygraph procedure takes a minimum of 2 hours. However, as time went on during the hour and 45 minutes, his anxiety level kept increasing.
Do you know who killed John Thurberg?
I don't want to do this no more.
What's the matter, Johnny? All you gotta do is tell the truth.
It got to the point where in 1 or 2 prior polygraphs that I had performed, individuals actually ran out of the room. And I was fearful that that's exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah, I changed my mind. I don't want to do this. I want to leave. Now. Okay, Johnny, nobody's going to make you do anything you don't want to do. Tell you what, sit here and relax a minute.
So I tried to calm him down, and I told him that I would be back. And he stayed in the room. I went and I spoke with Chief Vance, and I suggested that Chief Vance come back in with me to try and calm him down.
What's the matter, Johnny? Is it the polygraph?
Yeah, I don't want to do this. I want to leave.
My job during that particular period of time was to kind of like win him over from the standpoint of him having trust in me.
That's fine, Johnny. You can go. It's not like you're under arrest or anything. Unhook him, Ken.
He was a witness. He was not under any arrest, so we had no reason to hold him.
You headed to North Philly, right?
Yeah.
I'm headed the same direction, more or less. You want to ride?
Sure. Okay.
It was probably about 1 o'clock in the morning. No buses were going to Philadelphia. So basically what I did was I offered to give him a ride. And of course, he said yes. Now, North Philadelphia from Abington Township is maybe about 10 to 12 miles. It's a pretty rough neighborhood, one that has quite a few incidents of corruption, drugs, robberies, murders. So as we're riding, I'm talking to him, and I'm still trying to win his confidence.
You gonna stay at Houlihan's? I mean, it could be tough to work at a place where, well, you know.
Hey, yo, you can stop right here. Drop me off right there.